So, and I'll start with what my morning routine is, and it hasn't changed terribly from the last week or so, but I'm learning a lot, and I'll tell you about that. Oh, look, it's Simon, right on cue. Come on, come up in my lap. He does love to be in these videos. So, the very first, and this is always after cleansing, is Lotus Serum Mist in the morning. And I haven't been using it every day because that's all that's left. So I'm hoarding it. So I would like to, and I certainly plan on buying a large quantity of it because of all the things that it does. But I've been putting it in a T-zone area, especially if I'm shiny and I want to make it more matte. But it's also good for discolorations in your skin and aging, signs of aging and fine lines and things like that. And so that's why I'm pretty sold on it. But like I said, I'm hoarding. And then the second thing I do is peat to the T-zone and or entire face. And I'm going to start. Sorry, my nose is itching. I was using it all over. Oh, these allergies. All over, and then I started backing off and being more careful because I think when I found out we could start using that again, excuse me, in addition to the spring box contents, I kind of went hog wild, so I needed to see what was doing what. All right, so Pete. Then I started putting some lift on yesterday, neck, jaw, right around here, because I almost used that up before and I wanted to work it back in. This is mainly when I have time to do all these steps in the morning. I'm sure if you work full-time and like to sleep more than you like to get up, that you would need to cut a couple things out. But they don't take that long. All right, after lift, and all these layers soak in pretty fast. Lotus Serum is fast, Pete's fast. Lift might take a tiny bit longer, and they're all in order on their serum, on the serum chart. Next is Dorian Gray. I put that on my face, all over, pretty much. A little bit here. I'm trying to be careful because I've had rashes there. And then I started using Dorian Gray's oil on my neck because you probably can't see. I've used so much of this, it's down to about there. I have a bottle coming tomorrow, though, because I put it in order. That was one of my bonuses. So I'm very happy about that. Okay, then I use Pearl, usually. Highlight my cheekbones, just maybe one drop. Highlight. Because I'm sort of impatient, it takes a little longer to absorb. So if you want to use it all over and you have time and you're more patient than I am, then go for it. Simon, why don't you come up and say hi? Anyway, then after that has absorbed, I'll do something while I'm waiting for that to absorb. There's always something else to do around here with 3 cats. I put Hydra. I put cortisone cream finally a couple days ago. I started using it on my left eyelid because it was all red, all thick, all flaky, all itchy. And a tiny spot here, and then at the base of my throat. All of them were all fired up. So, cortisone cream finally. I tried everything to not use it. All right, now after the Hydra, which Madeline suggested, and I read about it, but she suggested putting that on the dry areas, so I put it on my eyelids. It stung just a little bit, and then down here where I was red. Then I use Glow on brown spots, and then I spread it all over my cheeks. And just very carefully, a little bit of anti-aging eye gel oil. I notice if I get, yeah, Simon is a cutie. Thank you, Madeline. He's gone. All he wants is dinner. So I try to make sure it doesn't get over here because I got a little breakout one time because of that. It was just too rich to go near my T-zone. So then that absorbs. If I put too much, I just put a real tiny amount, but if I put too much, I'll kind of dab it off later. see what absorbs. Then blush beauty oil and sunscreen. I've been using less blush beauty oil on the T-zone this last week because the weather's been on and off, warmer. We're supposed to get up into the 70s by the end of the week. Although today it was in the 50s, and yesterday it was really cold, the day before, so it's crazy. Spring weather. The blush, I love, love, love. However, I think I've been getting too much on. I still have, it was full size, so I've still got a pretty good quantity of that left. Thank goodness. And I also, just to add on, twice a day, I've been putting the Dorian Gray on my right hand and then adding blush on top of that. Now I've switched to Dorian Gray's oil on my right hand to save Dorian Gray serum till I get my bottle. So that's morning, and then I can go 12 plus hours and my skin doesn't look dry or really a whole lot different. I just look tireder. And then in the evening, which could be quite late when I finally do my routine, it's the same as the morning, except I skip Lotus Serum Mist for reasons we've already discussed. And then I skip the Pearl also, and for reasons of impatience, now mainly. Then I add Donkey Milk Gel sleeping pack to my T-zone and face. And then I'm starting to use another sleeping pack on my neck. And I have snow and sake and rice. So here's what's left. It's a look. The bottom shows through to the label on the bottom of the jar. So that's why I'm switching it to a different one on my neck. But I think it's Donkey Milk Gel is going to be great for warmer weather if we ever get it consistently. Keep switching because it's a gel, and I was reading online about the different products to see what other moisturizer could I use, so we'll talk about that in a minute. So carrying on here, I'm being blabby, but this takes a while longer. What major changes have I noticed is one of the questions we're supposed to cover. So major for me is getting the rashes better. They're improved and healed. I had a big one here. Darn it. I can still hear myself. Hang on. There. I didn't turn the volume all the way up. So this is healed totally. A little one over here that started is almost totally gone. And my eyelids are healing. This one is still kind of discolored, and flaky dry, but it doesn't itch anymore. I hate to even touch it. And I have another really big thing is that I've noticed less and less discoloration on the sides of my neck. I mean, I don't know. I'm going to get in the car one day and take a picture in daylight because that's when you can see everything. My daughter always says, always have tweezers in the car with you for when you look at yourself in the mirror and the sun's shining, because that's when you really see things that you don't notice inside. So that's major for me, the neck discolorations. And then on my cheeks also less. So I'm going to update you on the Dorian Gray serum to my right hand in a day or two and do more comparison photos, because I've done, one or two, maybe one of those comparison things. I'm doing my right hand only. My left hand isn't as bad, but as soon as it gets sunny out, they start to reappear almost more. Okay, so then the other, a third thing that I've noticed is that my cheeks just are more even in tone, which is good. I'd like to work on my little red nose. I think I might have a touch of acne rosacea. My mother had that. So it gives you red spots, maybe reddish nose and red spot hair. She had it much more. Okay, so exceptional products. I said the same thing last week. I'm pretty sure that, and once again, Dorian Gray serum is the biggest winner for me because of all my skin discolorations. The Donkey Milk Gel Sleeping Pack is the second place winner because I've had a few breakouts up here when I used some of the masks. And it healed up a couple little tiny breakouts very fast, like dried them up overnight. Changes I've made. I'm adjusting how much product I use. I'm pretty sure I was using too much. But honestly, it feels like my skin just goes... and where I use them also I've changed. I'm trying to target some areas. I'm using some just on the T-zone primarily, vacuum cleaner oil and Lotus Serum Mist. Once I used vacuum, like before we started all this, and I was trying to just, I'm going to do all kinds of things and do my live video. I actually think I caused some of the rashes by rubbing that oil in so hard. A little too wild there. So, anyway, I've just vacuum cleaner here, Lotus Serum Mist, 1 squirt. I was squirting down here until I got to hoarding it. And then I'm targeting some others just for the sensitive or rash areas like after sun. Then I used Hydra and Winter is Coming before I finally gave up and used cortisone cream for a couple days. But then I put those products over it. The after sun, everything was burning. The Hydra, the after sun. The only thing it didn't, I think, was Winter is Coming. So that's when I decided I better use cortisone. So anyway, get tired of talking about rashes. They're so irritating and boring. So I'm still using Hydra, and sometimes Winter is Coming, especially at night, on naughty areas that are dry. So here's what I plan to do this coming week. Let's see if I actually do it. I'm going to put this in a waterproof thing and hang it in the bathroom so I'll remember all this, because it is hard to keep track. I'm going to use Pete's serum, which I've been using. I'm going to use it all over because it's anti-aging. I had just started using it in the T-zone because I had this vague idea that it was good for acne, which I think it is, but it's also good for anti-aging. Then I'm going to continue the Dorian Gray serum all over. I'm going to use Lotus Mist serum like I talked about, T-zone and red areas. And then Donkey Milk Gel Sleeping Pack to the T-zone and spot treat breakouts. And then a different sleeping pack on my neck, cheek areas. I'm going to use less blush beauty oil on my T-zone, especially my forehead, because it's been warmer here, like I said, and it's not absorbing as much. Even though I just like kind of go like that and then go, still too much. So I think in my research of the products for moisturizing, I'm going to try the After Sun instead as it warms up this week on my forehead and T-zone. And as far as self-care goes and how I feel about it all, just it's continuing to make me feel good, and taking time for the routines is making me feel happier and increases my confidence, because I feel like, hey, I've done all kinds of wonderful things for my skin, and it's like feeding yourself on the surface and maybe eating healthy foods, you're giving your skin healthy foods. So healthy skin is so important because you're going to look better and feel better about yourself. Okay, thanks ladies. Love you too. Now I'm going to go make a raw vegan cookie. If you use enough raw cacao powder, they're awesome. Good night. Glad you were here. Bye-bye.